Today we're going to be talking about 8x8 Virtual Contact Center and Salesforce integration. So one of the first things I want to do is log into Salesforce. As a user on Salesforce, first thing I'll do is go ahead and click my username and my password, and I'll log in. That's going to bring me into my primary Salesforce screen here. So once we're fully logged in, the first thing that I'm going to have the opportunity to do is determine which Salesforce experience I'm going to use. A lot of users might just have it set to automatically log in and go straight to Lightning or straight to the classic console mode. In this experience, we're given the option to choose, so you may or may not see this screen in a typical environment. In our case, we're going to do this in the Lightning mode. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Lightning. It's going to take me into the Salesforce Lightning experience. And one of the first things you're going to see is that I'm automatically logged in as not only the Salesforce user, but as an agent as well. So when I launch my phone, it automatically has me logged in as an agent. I don't have to do a separate login. It's a single sign-on environment. This is the agent console right here on the left-hand side of your screen. A handful of things to keep in mind when you log into Salesforce. Number one is that this agent experience is exactly the same whether you're using it with Salesforce or whether you're just using it as a standalone application. You'll note just from this agent screen here, this is where you would do things like make yourself available, make yourself offline, go ahead and do things like take a break. So for example, if I wanted to take a break, I could click on this and choose what type of break I was going on, or similarly, if I was going to do some work offline, such as go to a team meeting or handle some things that would not be related to handling contacts, I could do that from here as well. These are all customizable, so the different types of offline or break modes, you can choose exactly what those are. It shows that the agent is currently in available status. So right now I'm idle. I'm not handling any transactions. I'm just an agent who's in a queue and is ready to start handling transactions. There is a timer right here that shows how long I've been in this status. So a little less than a minute and a half. If I want to see different statistics or metrics, I have a status tab that would allow me to look at all of the different queues that I'm associated with. I could also look at different agent statuses as well. So if I wanted to see who was on a call, or if I wanted to see how many calls were in queue, etc., I could do that from here. But what you really want to get into today is, how do we handle a transaction, right? If I'm an agent, I'm logged into Salesforce, what's the experience like as transactions, phone calls in particular, are coming into Salesforce? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a call into our contact center. I'm going to use another phone here that's off screen. I'm going to dial into that contact center, and we are going to handle that transaction as an agent. I'll put this on speaker so you can hear it.
Welcome to our demo call flow.
So that call is ringing to the agent right now. You see the call's been offered. What I'm going to do is answer that call as my agent. And you note a couple of things. Number one, my status went from call being offered now to busy. So the agent status has changed. You can see how long they've been in that status. All of my call control is available on screen. We'll get to that here in a moment. But one of the first things you might have noticed is that we got a screen pop in the Lightning experience. So we popped immediately to our contact record based on that caller ID, which is the phone number that I called in on. So we see that there is an existing contact within Salesforce.com. We see that there is an existing opportunity related to this contact within Salesforce. So all of the basic contact information is going to appear on screen. We can configure this to pop to the contact page or to the account page or an opportunity page, depending on what you want to see in your experience. Basically, any Salesforce object is available. It's all going to be driven off of that caller ID. If there is no contact or account available, we can bring up either a blank page to enter a new contact, or if there are multiple contacts available based on that caller ID, we can bring up a search page. Again, depending on the experience that your agents are expecting to have, we can pop the appropriate information. The key piece of information to keep track of is that we are popping to the relevant data that's in Salesforce. So I can see, here's my contact, I can see all the opportunities, cases, etc., all my campaign history with this guy. Now, over here on the agent side of the transaction, like I mentioned, we've got all of our call control on screen. If I want to place the call on hold or mute it or terminate it, I can do that here. I've also got a second line appearance if I want to transfer the call or conference in somebody else. While this transaction is being offered, I've also got some basic information about the transaction on my agent screen. So like I mentioned before, this is the same agent environment, whether I'm in Salesforce or whether I'm in just kind of acting as a standalone agent. I do have some information on screen about the transaction that populates directly into my agent console. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is actually terminate this call. I'm going to end it from the agent side of the house. So let's hang up on that transaction. A couple things happen here. Number one, I went from handling a call into post-processing. So now I'm done with the transaction. This is where I would do things like enter my call notes, enter any account codes, basically do any follow-up work related to the transaction. I've got my post-processing timer set to a minute. So it's going to count down from a minute down to 0 seconds. You can set this timer to whatever time frame you'd like. Mine's set at a minute in this experience. If you want to essentially fast forward and not spend the entire minute in post-processing, I could go ahead and end it early, add any account codes that I want to add. Let's just say that this was a demo call, and continue. And then as soon as I click that, I now go back into available status and I'm ready to handle the next transaction. Now, as that happened, one more cool thing happened within Salesforce. I automatically create a brand new task. So we've entered the task data into Salesforce. This is systematically created. It tells you what exactly happened. It was a call. It took place on 8/29 at 9:24 a.m. Pacific time. It has got the comments that are automatically populated with the timestamp and some basic information about the call. But it basically automatically enters those call notes about the transaction, so that as an agent, I don't have to go in and say, yeah, I called Ralph at such and such date at such and such time. The system is going to automatically enter that for me. So let's just close this out. We'll just assume that we've completed that. There's one other thing that I want to show off with regards to Salesforce, and it's the ability to click to dial and make outbound calls. So what I'm going to do now is make an outbound call as part of the Salesforce demonstration. By clicking on this phone number, a couple things are going to happen. One, it's going to immediately ask me, all right, you want to make an outbound call? Let's classify this type of call. What type of outbound call is it, right? You cold calling him? Is it from a marketing list, etc.? Again, these are also customizable. Let's just say I'm returning an escalation call. When I click dial, it's actually going to ring my agent phone. So my agent phone is ringing. You can hear that in the background. I'm going to answer that, and then immediately it dials out to this external number, which now you can probably hear that ringing on my extra phone. When I answer that, it now connects the call. You can see that the agent is busy. Now I'm on an outbound transaction. Same process, the ability to do call control and everything from right here. When I terminate this call, again, it creates another task, this time indicating that it was an outbound transaction as opposed to an inbound transaction. So I make my disposition codes and my call notes. It'll create that task, again, just differentiating inbound versus outbound. And that's it, fairly straightforward. I've got the ability to handle inbound transactions, do screen pops, automatically create call notes, as well as handle outbound transactions through Salesforce.com. So if there are any questions that you have, please let us know. We'll go ahead and sign off on this demonstration right here. And thank you for watching.